Let's see here. Okay. All right. Computer, I have a question. What is an indie game? Let's see what we got here. An indie game, short for independent video game, is a video game typically created by individuals or small instead. So it's still talking low budget, small teams, independence. Make that description a lot shorter. Okay, an indie game is a video game made by a small team or solo developer, usually without funding from a major publisher. These games often have lower budgets, unique or experimental ideas, and are sold through digital platforms like Steam or itch.io. Alright. Okay. Alright, I feel like the landscape of the video game industry has completely changed in my lifetime, and to be quite honest, I'm here for it. As someone who spends a good chunk of their free time either playing video games or reading about video games, I feel like there was this sudden shift from everyone playing AAA titles to sticking mostly to indie games. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I seem to find myself just not giving a shit about 90% of new releases from large developers, and my focus has shifted to smaller developers. I mean, let's take a look at my Steam library and what my most played games are. Alright, I mean, ignoring the obvious Baldur's Gate 3, you know, it gets a pass. It's one of the best games ever made. I've played through it like 3 fucking times. Counter-Strike 2, hey, you know, 2021, I'm in recovery. I haven't played it in a while. But under that, we've got Rust, which is an indie title. And we've got 7 Days to Die. We have Project Zomboid. You know, FromSoft's a small indie developer, right? Stardew Valley, Pal World, Don't Starve, Sunhaven. Like, just here at the top, there's so many things that are just small indie titles. And there's a lot of Final Fantasy. I play a lot of Final Fantasy. I'm a grown-ass man with an avatar that's a cat girl. You think Square Enix isn't to blame for that? You think when I'm a little kid, introduced me to all this fucking anime cat girl bullshit? Fuck. I guess what I want to explore in this video is trying to pinpoint when this shift happened, why, and where it seems like the industry is heading. So this video idea came to me after getting my favorite email. You know the one. 5 items from your wish list are now on sale. So cool, what do we have? Starfield? It's not worth $41.99. Doom the Dark Ages? I mean, man, I really do want to play it, but I know it's going to drop down to like $25 eventually. I mean, it's just Doom. I'm probably not missing much. What else is in my wish list, though? I haven't really looked through it in a while. Oh yeah, I forgot that the new Deltarune parts came out. I need to pick that up soon. This is what got my gears turning. It was like, these are 2 games that were worked on by huge teams with a giant budget, and I just don't care enough to pay anything remotely close to full price for them. Deltarune, on the other hand, I'm glad to do it. I want to support Toby Fox. I realized I'm more excited about what's coming from small studios, and frankly, I'm finding myself annoyed with what large studios are putting out. Looking back, I remember the first time that I heard the term indie game. The first indie game that I played that really caught my attention was Cave Story. Now, if you're watching this and you've never played it, I mean, do yourself a favor. It's free and it's phenomenal. It's a Metroidvania that absolutely still holds up today, and I remember it just blowing me away learning that it was made by one guy named Pixel. It's a fucking sick name, bro. It was a simple game, but it had so much charm. It was hard, but not too hard. It had secrets, it had multiple endings. It was a full-fledged, phenomenal game, and it was made by one guy, and it was free. I know in today's gaming hellscape, free games are everywhere, but there's usually some kind of catch. You know, like, it's free, but there are microtransactions. It's free, but you've got to pull new characters, and if you don't, you're gonna fall behind. It's free, but only up to a certain point in the game. I don't know, this had no strings attached. You download it, you have a beautiful, full-fledged game for nothing. I mean, the concept was and still is very foreign. Now, this was at a time when, like, 99% of what I was playing was whatever was hitting consoles. Like, I had a computer, and I gamed on it occasionally, but definitely not in the same way as I did on my consoles. I'm talking about the Xbox 360 era, and during that time, my Xbox is probably where I spent 80% of my game time, with like 15% on my Wii and maybe the other 5% on my shitty little laptop. I don't think I'm an outlier on that either. That's just kind of how it was. My computer was reserved for like The Sims or Diablo 2 kind of exclusively. Well, that and clunky ass MMOs that nobody remembers anymore, and the occasional Flash game. Did anybody here play Anarchy Online or Ultima Online? No? No, is that just me? Okay. But wait, I just said Flash games, and while I was writing the script, it literally just dawned on me that Flash games are absolutely indie games, and ones that I was playing well before Cave Story. While Flash games definitely live on a spectrum of absolute dog shit to holy fuck, this should have been a full console release, they fit right into that dumbass ChatGPT description in the intro. But other than the few that made it off of Newgrounds and onto our consoles, they just didn't hold that same staying power that indie mega hits of today, like Stardew or Undertale, do. So what happened? When did it become viable to release an indie game that could outsell games coming from major studios? The first big indie game that I remember everyone playing has to be Castle Crashers. And that's honestly such a perfect example here because the behemoth got their start making Flash games on Newgrounds. Released in 2008, this game has now sold about 20 million copies. That's a smash hit, especially for a small indie team. Now, I played it for the first time, and many, many more times, on the Xbox 360. I have super fond memories of going to friends' houses and just playing through the entire game multiple times, like in the same night, because you'd unlock new characters, and then you gotta play through it again and do it all over again, unlock new characters, and it was a good gameplay loop. I think the success of Castle Crashers solidified the Xbox Live Arcade as a viable place for indie developers to actually see, success. There are plenty of other examples from that era too, like Braid, Limbo, Super Meat Boy. These are all indie games that became household names. There is, of course, one other indie game that comes to mind. It's a small little underground game. You've probably never heard of it. Now, Minecraft wasn't just successful, it changed the fucking game. When it eventually got sold to Microsoft, it had already sold 60 million copies. Guys, I want you to think about that for a second. The Super Nintendo was the hot console of the 16-bit generation. And that is by sales numbers. Back off, you Sega fanboys. The Super Nintendo, it sold 49 million units. Super Mario World was the best-selling game on the console, and it sold 20 million copies. Mario All-Stars is the second best, that sold about 10 million copies. It's crazy to think that Minecraft sold more copies before being bought by Microsoft than there are Super Nintendos in the entire world. Of course, now, they're up to like 350 million copies, and it is, by a very wide margin, the best-selling game of all time. But it's just wild to think that a small indie game sold more copies than entire console generations. Hell, the best-selling Nintendo game of all time is Wii Sports, and that's just because it came with every single Wii. The next best, ignoring that, would be Mario Kart, and it only sold 37 million copies. I think it's safe to say that Minecraft opened the floodgates for indie developers. It's a game that saw success that rivals, every large developer that's ever existed. However, I think Minecraft is also directly responsible for the rise in PC gamers. Indie games are just objectively easier to distribute on PC, so a rise in people ditching consoles in favor of a PC means more people that can play your indie game. When all of this was going on, I feel like most people I knew at least were strictly console gamers. In fact, it was common to make fun of PC gamers for being the PC master race. They're dweebs that just shit on consoles for being inferior. One of my good friends was a PC gamer, and he's the one that introduced me to Minecraft one day while it was still in beta. Now, like most people, I was immediately hooked, and I went home and installed it on my dinky little laptop that could barely run it. It was a terrible experience, but I probably played Minecraft with the blocks turned all the way down for like 500 hours. It didn't matter, the game was so engaging that I could ignore a superior gaming experience on my 360 in favor of this stupid little game about dirt cubes. I wanted a better PC, but I just couldn't justify it for a single game. So I continued on as a console pleb, and eventually something else started poking me in the brain, telling me that maybe I should just build a PC. That was a little game called Rust. Now, I first saw Rust on a Donkey video like 11 years ago? Jesus, that can't be right. Oh God. Whew, okay. I don't know, it looked so fun. It was like, shit, it's Minecraft, but with guns and wieners out. Sign me up. That, along with a lot of other indie games that I kept seeing on YouTube but could not play because I didn't have a viable PC, it finally sealed the deal and I built my first actual gaming PC. This, of course, led me to Steam and a whole fucking world of new games that were absolutely phenomenal. So leaving the console peasant days behind me, Steam and my new shiny PC became my go-to way to play any type of game moving forward. Thankfully, there are loads of options on Steam that are super cheap, so it was easy to start finding new games to play. I always heard that PCs had a high cost to start, but it evened out because Steam has fantastic sales constantly. And yeah, that was true. Instead of going, "Aw, shit, that one developer that made a game I liked 10 years ago is releasing a new shoot game. Better run out and buy a full-priced copy on release day," it was more like, I heard Undertale's really good and it's only $5 right now. Let's give that a shot. It became clear that Steam had oodles of great games, a lot of which were indie titles that just wouldn't have a shot on consoles. Now that could be because they were open access, like Rust, or they were just really poorly optimized and they wouldn't run well on a console, like Rust. I don't know, it just became hard to get excited about Assassin's Creed 15 coming out when some plucky small developer could give me a way better experience and way more bang for my buck for like $5. But that's the key here, is experience. AAA gaming fucking sucks now, and it's a bad experience. If I'm playing a single player game, I just want to load it up, see a title screen, and play the game. If it takes a minute to do like shaders or something the first time I open it, it's fine, I'll give it a pass, but otherwise, I just want to sit down and enjoy the thing I bought. I looked through my Steam library, I wanted to see if I had anything like by EA or something, and I remembered that I played Need for Speed Heat. Now let's take a look at how long it takes me from pressing play on Steam to being able to drive a car. Alright, almost 3 minutes is just way too fucking long. Now, my PC is not super beefy, but it's not necessarily low end either. This game came out in 2019, and the RTX 3060 I have came out in 2021. It shouldn't take 3 minutes to drive a car. It's a bad experience, and it's frustrating. Now, for comparison, let's look at a banger indie game. How long before I can play Balatro? Yeah, fucking good. That's how it should be. I do not want to open a game on Steam, wait for a different launcher to open, wait for an ungodly long load screen, go to a menu with a store button and advertisements, click on single player, wait through another long load screen, select a car, and then wait through another load screen. And before you guys blow up in the comments, it's not just oh, my computer's too slow. Some large devs get this shit right. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth astonishes me with how fast it opens. It's 20 fucking seconds from me clicking play on Steam to controlling Cloud. Now, I understand that games as a service take longer to load. I understand having to wait to connect to a server for a matchmaking game. I get it. But sometimes I just want to fucking sit down and play a game. Opening Balatro is like walking over to my shelf, pulling an NES game off, slapping it in my console, and pressing power. Boom, here's your title screen. Have fun, you little shit. It's just that's all I want. I just want to play a fucking game. My time is limited. I don't want it wasted on bullshit. I find myself more excited about indie games because indie games don't carry the bullshit of AAA studios. Indie devs have a vision and they want to bring that vision to life. It allows for more risks to be taken. It allows for new ideas to be played around with. It allows for less strict deadlines, and it allows them to create something that they actually want to fucking make. AAA studios are huge multi-billion-dollar businesses. They don't give a single fuck about the end user experience. They just care about pleasing shareholders to make more money. They can't innovate. They have to play it safe to ensure that the product turns a profit. And that's an interesting keyword there, product. It's not a game. It's not a thing for your enjoyment. It is 100% just a product that needs to generate revenue. Think about if EA made Stardew Valley. Do you really think we would continue getting update after update, just adding so much new shit to the game, for free? If Ubisoft had made Balatro, do you think we'd keep getting those fun new cosmetic decks for free? The hell no. They would either be $10.99 each, or you would have a loot box that allows you one of 300 different variations, and well, you gotta keep trying if you want that one you really want. I don't know. The gaming industry just feels like such a shit show, but I feel like indie devs are keeping it alive. At least for me. I don't know. It's really less of an issue with AAA games as much as it is an issue with games as a service, I guess, but the point still stands. When Square releases Final Fantasy VII Part 3, I'm going to pick it up immediately. I'm gonna play through it. I'm gonna say, damn, that was cool. And then it's gonna go back on my Steam library shelf and I'm, gonna play something else. But it'll be safe. It'll be an action RPG that is mostly enjoyable. It's gonna look nice and it's gonna have just awesome cinematics because thousands of people worked on it. But I guarantee it's not going to innovate. It's not going to raise the bar. It doesn't need to. It just needs to sell. It's why I seem to stray from AAA games now. I can watch the coolest trailer for something that looks just right up my alley, but as soon as it says Ubisoft in the corner, I'm immediately apprehensive and I think man, well fuck, that game's probably going to suck. The only game, in recent memory, that gets a pass on this is Baldur's Gate 3. That did raise the bar, and it feels like it's a labor of love by a large dev team. Gaming industry, take note. This is how AAA games should be handled. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. This shit just turned into an old man yells at clouds rant. I think the rise in indie game popularity comes from the rise in PC gamers and the accessibility that PCs provide. Looking at the statistics, Steam has over 132 million monthly active users right now. The Xbox Series X/S, is that the current one? I don't even know what the current Xbox is. I think that's the right one. Under 30 million units sold. And then the PS5 is at about 78 million. There are officially more Steam gamers than there are current generation consoles in the world. That's nuts, and I think that gap is going to continue to get wider. I think people, myself clearly included, are just sick of the bullshit that comes from these AAA studios. So I guess that's my point. I just ranted for 18 minutes to come to the conclusion that indie games hit the mainstream, I guess first with Flash games and then more specifically Castle Crashers in 2008. Then they took the world by storm with Minecraft, which single-handedly turned a lot of console gamers into PC gamers. And then the indie industry began to thrive on Steam because of its accessibility. Yeah, that seems like a coherent train of thought, I guess. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. I'm just gonna go lie down and wait for the next Concerned Ape tweet about the haunted chocolatier. Thanks for watching. Roll the credits. Roll them. Roll the credits.